G'day guys, what's cracking? It's Ralph here. Behind me you'll see a beautiful sunrise near Bucketheads. Now Bucketheads is on the east coast of Australia, and it's my last morning of holidays. Head home in a couple of hours actually. So I thought I'd do something really interesting and different today. I want to talk to you about how I've found I improve in photography, and I'm going to start that off by taking a photo of the sunrise, which I'll do throughout the morning. A bit of fun, but I'm not going to look. So I'm not going to turn around and look. I'm just going to shoot over my shoulder, and we'll see how we go. And I'm going to put my settings to what I think they should be. And a little bit of a cheat here: when you are shooting something that you know you can't, you just need a stable shutter speed, and you know there's not a lot of movement. The best stable shutter speed to go with is 1/125. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to put my aperture, because I know it's very dark, I'm going to put my aperture to the lowest that it'll go, which in this case, this is the 14 to 30. So the aperture is 4. I'm going to put an auto ISO, and I'm simply going to point it over my shoulder like this. Oh, actually I'm going to change the shutter point too, because the focus point, because at the moment it's on continuous focus and 3D. Continuous focus is fine for this little experiment, but I'm going to move it to a wide, no, I'm going to move it to a single shutter thing, and I'm going to put it over my shoulder, and I'm going to take a shot. Back button focus. That's the shot, guys. So it's awful, but we will improve on that as the sunrise improves. I'm a Nikon shooter, as you know. Most of you who join the channel are, but not all. Some of you shoot with Canon or Sony or other cameras. It's awesome. It doesn't really matter, to be honest. All the cameras are incredible. Nikon has lagged in the autofocus range, but all the others are good. Anyway, let's talk about how I become become better as a photographer, and how you might be able to become better as a photographer. And I think the first thing is going to different locations. So I've gone to these different locations recently that I've just found creatively inspiring and opening my eyes. And some of them, there's been nothing really special about the location other than that it's been different to what I'm familiar with. And so I went to, you hear the kookaburras in the background, it's pretty epic. We're on the 5th floor, so good view, and the estuaries coming in there. So I went down to Hobart. This is probably a month and a bit ago. Went down to Hobart, and I've never been to Hobart as a photographer. I didn't go there to shoot photos. I went there because my wife had a conference, but I vlogged the trip, and so there'll be different tags that come up here that you can check out, and some competition and enjoy if that's what you'd like to do. I didn't tell them I was shooting a vlog today. That's probably my shortcoming. I'm sorry, lads. I'm sorry. But can I just go for 30 minutes? This won't go for 30 minutes. It might, the way we're going. The kids will come out in a minute. It's about 6 o'clock in the morning. And so I went to Hobart, different city, different views, and I went in thinking, oh, this is, and I vlogged it, so the vlogs will be up here. And as I drove through the city and sought out the city, explored the city, we got to shoot like the Tasman Bridge and the Derwent River. It was just spectacular. We got to shoot the harbour. I found a platypus. We went down to Bruny Island, which was just mesmerisingly beautiful. There were so many photo options. I could spend a couple of weeks there easily and not be bored once. And so we went on this Pentecost travel adventure, and we saw some seals, some fur seals that I got to shoot and enjoy. It was just amazing. And so so I found that as I did this, that my photos started to improve. I started to get more picky. And I think that's perhaps the first thing. I think as you take more photos, you get more picky about what's a good photo and what isn't. What's really, really sharp in focus. What's good for Instagram, what's good for the wall, what's good for YouTube. All works in that space. And you become familiar with composition. As you become familiar with composition, you can stretch the boundaries of composition. You can start to compose in different ways, which opens up creative avenues for you. You also are really familiar with the gear. So let me just go again. So for example, I can shoot this, and I know I can be on par with So I can shoot this, and I know we're getting better because I know my gear. I know how my gear works. I know what to expect of it. I know how to manually apply the settings to get what I want, and so that really helps. And then being in unfamiliar situations. So when you shoot a landscape that you've shot a lot of times before, which is what we kind of do on the coast, you get really familiar with it, and you kind of get set in your ways. It's difficult to look at it from a different avenue. You're always on the search for it, but it's difficult to. But when you go to a new place, you're like, wow, you're excited about it, you're passionate about it. There's lots of different opportunities, and as a result, you look at it differently. I think that, so then I went back home and I took some photos of different things at home, and I'm taking more and more wildlife photos. I think because I've got my camera with me more often, and in the middle of the day it can be hard, especially around the coast, to find a really good shot, but you can find lots of wildlife that you can take. And so I start to take some wildlife photos and start to really enjoy them and start to get better at that, work out your shutter speed and what your best aperture is for the particular experience, and how to manage your ISO so it's not too noisy. But Lightroom denoise has got this incredible function that can take anything that's really noisy and unnoise it. It's just unbelievable. Taking some astro, which has been exceptional. I think the only way you can get better at astro is usually if you take more astro, and the problem with taking more astro is it's just a hard thing to time. So one day I got up at like 2 o'clock in the morning and went out, the moon set at 3, and I got to shoot the Milky Way, and I even got this shot with the moon and the Milky Way in it. Moon's got a bit of a moonburst on it, like, yeah, it's just great. And so so putting yourself in different situations. So when I go to Instagram now, I flip open Instagram, and you can have a look right now if you want on my Instagram, but I'll put it up just here so you can see what we're dealing with. But I'm proud of my feed. Like, as I look at these photos and I go through them, I feel proud and excited by the images that I've taken. And what previously used to happen is I had to put up an image that I went, I need to satisfy the gram. I need to satisfy the gram, put up an image, and hopefully this does the trick. But with these, every one of these images, and I've got a ton left. Look at this. So let me just go to drafts. I've got those on drafts, and I've also I've got a ton more that I'm going to post that I'm just really excited about. Like, oh man, these images are just so stoked by them, and surprised, and just like, these were some of the rock patterns the other day. I'm not sure what to do with them. They're not rock patterns. My family. Yeah. So, yeah, that's the whole, yeah, right there. So I'm proud of the shots. Now the problem with Instagram, and this has kind of helped me. So the problem with Instagram is I think Instagram has become so saturated that anyone who doesn't have a following over 100k is just wasting their time posting on Instagram for any sort of notoriety or any money share making or anything like that. The reason I think that is, the other day I got a share from a big Instagram like page, and somebody wrote to me and they're like, wow, you've made it, that's amazing, awesome, well done. I'm like, no, I won't make a skerrick of difference. And you know what, it didn't make me, I didn't have any subscribers or any followers from it. Maybe, well, there was one person, which could have been from that or could have been from something else. It makes absolutely no difference if your stuff gets shared. My photo has been shared on Australia, which has got 3.2 million followers at the time, and it didn't make an ounce of difference to my following and what that looked like. I've got a mate who makes reels frequently for Instagram, and when he gets a reel that takes off, that makes a big difference, but nothing else does. So Instagram said, no, we've backed it off, we've gone back to photos, but they haven't. Now, I may have upset Instagram, which is why it hates me, and therefore doesn't share any of my photos, because now, the other day somebody liked an old photo, it was like 920 likes, which is pretty big for me. I was like, oh wow, yeah, those are the days. And then I come back to, and I'm getting around 40 or 50 on some of the best photos I feel I've ever taken. But here's the beauty of it. When you get such rubbish, garbage, low following, like so many likes, your stuff's not being exposed, because most of our feeds that we have. They don't show us, the photographers that we follow. They show us a whole bunch of others, unless you do a special click following, but then you can't check your likes and other things. It's just your notifications and everything. So most of us are being fed content that we didn't want, that we didn't go searching for, that we're not after. So people get tired of Instagram, and as a creator, your stuff's not falling on the eyes of your audience. So then you move to a thing of like, I can't shift that, I can't change that, and because of that, I'm going to post for the joy of it. I'm going to post because I just love showing my art to the world, and if the world wants to see it and take note, great. If the world can see it and take note, great. My Facebook photography page is getting more traction than my Instagram page. But the more I show, I get feedback from people, and that feedback helps me grow. So feedback is a really important thing, of having people around you that will encourage you, absolutely, but then stretch you. So every so often, probably once a week, somebody will email me or Instagram message me from the channel. Maybe it's you, and you've said, hey, look at this photo I've taken, I've been trying this, and can you help? And I always, I want to be encouraging, because what you've done is amazing. And then I'm like offering another idea, because I want to help you grow and be stretched, because that's what I need. And so doing those things, I think really, you guys didn't tell me this guide changed. Alright, I'm going to change my focal length a little bit. I'm going to go about here, focus in. Also going to go super wide, and I'm going to change my angle. Oh, that first one was better. Yeah, I need to straighten it up and edit it afterwards, but we'll see what we come up with by the end of the video, won't we? Then this is something I uncovered in my thinking yesterday. So I was at Elizabeth Beach, which is down on the beach yesterday, taking some sunrise photographs, and it was spectacular. So here's a shot from that. I was just like, overwhelmed. It was so good, so good. And I'm walking around, and I'm shooting here, I'm shooting there, with my tripod on, and moving it around in compositions and different focus stacking and exposure stacking and all that kind of gear. But I didn't have my vlogging set up. I didn't bring you guys with me. And there was such a freedom in it, because I could get to enjoy photography for the joy of photography. And I think that's something we can tend to forget, whether we have got a YouTube channel or whether we've got something else that we're trying to satisfy, that we lose the passion of it. And so over the last couple of months, I've done heaps of photography where I haven't had my vlogging camera in the other hand, and it has ignited this deeper passion for photography, this sense of like, oh, you guys didn't tell me. Okay. Oh yeah, that's good. So now what I'm going to do is just check the settings on this. This is 125, 4 and 560. I'm just going to lower the ISO from 560 to 400. I'm going to shoot, because I think to my left is better. Oh yeah, oh yeah, come on. What a fun experiment this is. So when you YouTube, you go out and you're teaching people about how to take better photographs, and you're taking them along with you for these experiences, and you're sharing all of this with them, and you're wanting it to be the very best it can be for them. And so you're distracted constantly. You're always thinking half about your camera and how you shoot and what you do, but your other half of attention is on you guys. Not you guys, but the camera and the lighting and the audio and the positioning, and making sure there's not lens flare or too much noise or all this sort of stuff going on. And so when that's the case, I'm running out of battery. So you guys can enjoy the sunrise still. And so your attention is completely split between, like it is now, between vlogging and photography. And one of the challenges, see, the sunrise has changed. So let's move to that big tree. So if I hold there, I'm going to go like that, and I'm going to go like that. I know that big tree's there, so I wanted to focus on that tree. Now the upside of vlogging while you take photos is you're teaching, and the more you teach, the better you get. And so as I'm teaching, I'm like, I want to share this with you and help you with this and help you think about this, and what do I automatically take for granted. And as soon as you pay attention to those things in and of yourself, you start improving as a photographer. And so I would encourage you to, when you're photographing something, think through how would you explain what you're doing to somebody else. Because as you do that, you will improve in your ability to photograph. It's kind of this cool, like, crazy, trade up you get. Sorry if I'm a little bit distracted. The glow over there just looks. I'm just going to stand up for a sec. Or take someone with you who you want to teach. So when I take my kids with me, I'm teaching them the things I know, and as I'm teaching them the things I know, I'm stretching. So for example, the other day I was showing somebody how to do a sunburst, and what I realised is, as I was doing the sunburst, is yes, you need a really like high numbered aperture, you need like an f-stop of 18 or something. But the other thing you can do to make it really long is increase the exposure. But as you increase the exposure, it washes out the photo. So you've got to do this balance of keeping the exposure sort of dark enough so you can make out the photo and preserve the highlights, but at the same time make the exposure bright enough so you can make those streaks really, really long. And I'd never kind of moved into that area until I was showing someone, teaching someone, and then thought, oh, I wonder what happens if you do this, and if you do that. And that would be the final thing, experimentation. Just experiment as much as you possibly can. Now, as I've been shooting this morning, and when I say experiment, that's not just doing the same thing over and over again. It's actually taking an idea or a concept and trying to work on it to get it exactly spot on, and doing the things that you've learned, learning new things to create something new, rather than just practice. Bird photography, high-speed photography, practice. Landscape photography, experiment. You've been brought right into my head today. I apologise for that. I know there's going to be about 200 of you. After a couple of days, there'll be about 193 people. Let's say this, 48 hours afterwards, there'll be 193 people that have watched this video and really enjoyed it, and the rest of the world that have missed out. And I don't know what to do about that. The people on my channel, there's you 200 who just love this sort of thing, and the other 8,300 who love gear reviews. And I will get back to some gear reviews when we get back to the office, but for the time being, just love a good vlog, don't you? Love a good vlog. Now let me just check my notes as I check my coffee. Now that's it, guys. That's it. Final words of wisdom. I've already taken my final photo because the sky's turned to rubbish. Final words of wisdom. Maintain your passion. In photography, I've met a lot of photographers, a lot of people. Like, I used to have a camera, I used to use my camera, I used to take photos. And they do it with a sense of lament. Like, no, as photographers, we're responsible, number one, for our passion. Like, it's such a gift to be able to take a camera, be able to point it at something, and shoot, and go, there's this amazing shot. This amazing shot. And that experience, that is a beautiful experience that you can then share with the world. It's your responsibility to maintain your passion. You maintain your passion by improving your skill set, by getting better at what you do, by exposing yourself to more opportunities and more environments, and sharing that passion with the world. I hope this has been helpful. Please comment any questions, comments, or whatever you like below. And like, oh my gosh, Ralph, you're just all over this shop this morning. I did have the worst night's sleep ever. Not cool. Just keep an eye on the sky. I went to Salamanca markets in Hobart, which are incredible and beautiful and amazing, and took a couple of shots from there. But I just went with the fam to walk around, and there was 3 photo stores. It's a big market, and the first one, I just went in and went, oh, this reminds me of when I first started out. Like, kudos to the guy for giving it a crack. He was very unfriendly and didn't want to chat and just not keen. It was like you're imposing walking in this store, and I don't like that. And I went to the second guy. And the second guy was really quite good. He sort of been doing it for a few years. What inspired him was the Southern Aurora. They got him pumped about it, so he bought a camera and he went out. He's been taking photos ever since. And some of his shots were really good. It was like, oh, this is cool. And and they were cheap as well, so I wanted to buy one just to encourage him. I couldn't settle on what I wanted. Plus, I wanted to take one of my own and stick it on the wall. So I was like, don't know which one. Anyway, then I went to the third one, and he was like insane. Like, I can't, you know when you see a good photo or you take a good photo, you're like, yes, I'm getting better, this is great. And then you see somebody else's and you be like, oh, so far to go. His was like, oh, so far to go. But I love that. It inspires me and it pushes me to get better and better and better. And the only way you can get better and better and better is learning, is exposing yourselves to new opportunities and new landscapes, is to play with your settings and play with your editing and play with your understanding of composition and really stretch yourself into that part. But also look at great photos. Thanks for sticking with me. I really appreciate you and your support. I would love to get to know you better if I haven't already. Peace and subscribe. Isn't that... Please subscribe. I've never subscribed to a YouTube channel because someone's told me to subscribe. But every time I say don't subscribe, my subscribe rate drops. Slave to the machine. Not to worry. Subscribe if you want. Hang out if you want. Comment if you want. Thumbs up if you want. Be you. Regardless. Just be you. Good morning. Good night. And I'll see you later.